Hey, welcome into the National Audio Visual Studios. I'm your host, Rick Beach, along with Austin Allen. This is Kudzu Sports. We're going to cover everything around, especially SEC football. And this time of year, Austin, we always say this is football season. This week, brought to you by Polka Dots Galore and More. Stephanie Park, she made some really cool masks. I got a green one at the house. Austin's got one that says Kudzu Sports. This week, we got an Alabama, a Georgia, and an Auburn colored one. We're going to give them away to, anybody that wants one from that fan base. The first one that comments on here, since we hit the 500 mark, we're going for 600. Next, we might put something with the face mask if you want, but Polka Dots Galore and More made that, Stephanie. She's got a facebook.com/Polka Dots Galore and More, and she makes all kind of shirts and, anything you can imagine. The mask coming along is just something else, but she makes all kind of cool stuff. She's done stuff for us way back, a couple years, of this podcast stuff. She's been helping us out.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
The Kudzu mask I wear them at work all the time. I believe Austin wears his.
Yeah,
pretty regular, and having them these colors are pretty good. Even that could be a Jordan High School, a Central High School if you wanted. Which high school football kicks off this Friday officially. That's going to be big around here. I think I'm going to go up to me and Austin's going to try to get to the Harris County, Troop County game Friday night.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, I went to the scrimmage. Coach Jamie Fox let me in up there. Great scrimmage, great atmosphere. Good bit of fans came, social distancing, mask, everything was by the book. And the football was good, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, hearing them pads popping is just second to none this time of year. So, hey, it's here. Last night, watching that Central Arkansas, Austin P.
It was electric, bro.
What?
It was so sloppy, though. It was sloppy football.
It's FCS, it's backup quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It is.
It was a lot of fun, though.
But it's college football.
What about the dude knocking over that big old fan?
Then looking down on it.
Bowed up on it, man. It was a lot of fun,
Yeah.
I know, you could tell that they was having fun because they knew a lot of people was probably watching. So
oh yeah,
they enjoyed it, I'm sure.
Think of this week, this Monday, and you got Navy and BYU.
Oh, is that?
That's gonna be Monday night. That's gonna be not this coming up tomorrow, but the next Monday. It was supposed to be the day of the Georgia-Virginia game.
That'll be a good game.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game.
Navy BYU.
I'm interested to see these ratings.
Yeah.
Because last night NASCAR had their big Daytona playoff. Is the last regular season race.
Yeah.
In Daytona.
I didn't know that.
Then you had an FCS football game with Central Arkansas. I want to see the ratings and compare them because I'm willing to bet that football game bloated out the water.
I'm sure it did.
Everybody's watching. Get on Twitter. Yeah. Everybody was watching.
Yeah, it was popping off last night.
Yeah, it was some good stuff. A lot of the Corona folks that are anti-football wasn't really chirping too much on Twitter last night after all they've been saying about no football.
Well, even if they did, there's no, there was no taking football fans' joy away last night.
No, especially the first play from scrimmage was a 75-yard, house call. That was pretty sweet.
It was everything, everybody wanted.
Well,
great game.
We're talking all the good news. Let's talk a little bit of bad news. Get this out the way with Auburn. Yeah. I think it's 2, maybe even 3 consecutive practices being canceled. Gus didn't have a press conference yesterday. Rescheduled it for tonight. A little bit after our show goes off the air. It's going to be about 9 o'clock our time.
Yeah.
Really interested to see. I believe there's going to be a number of COVID cases on the Auburn football team. What that number is, I'm willing to bet it's not too high. They have multiple weeks of no cases.
Right.
But this just shows why Greg Sankey did what he did by pushing the season back to September 26th, was letting people come back to class. They knew the cases would rise, and that would worry some people, so you could shut it down, gather yourself. We talked about it last week with Vanderbilt, and now it's just closer to home, literally 45 minutes away, but it's closer to home when it's Auburn. Gather yourself, get everything right, do the testing, and then get right back on track.
Yeah, and, I just seen that the CDC was now editing their guidelines to, if you came in close contact, you're only supposed to go down 3 to 5 days instead of like 10 or what it was a few weeks ago.
That will only help football.
So, yeah.
That will only help every sport, not just football. And, I think it really weakens the case for the Big Ten.
Right.
Everybody's jumping on Big Ten. You got to throw the Pac-12 in there too.
Yeah, but they're pretty much irrelevant in the it's worse for the Big Ten because
Big Ten has Ohio
had
State.
Folks with opportunities, you know what I mean?
Well, they have one team.
Well,
that's
you could throw Penn State in there every once in a while.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
In there.
And they have better football. Michigan,
definitely.
Ohio State, even Michigan losing 8 in a row or whatever it is still a better atmosphere and game than anything the Pac-12 has to offer.
Yeah, the Pac-12 is drowning right now, but yeah, man. I mean, I said it. If the season goes all the way through, then this will be like the biggest blunder in college football history to me.
Yeah, now they're talking about playing after Thanksgiving, which really you really look even more silly.
Yeah, because you'll be totally by yourself. You're not going to get into the playoffs.
And you're not going to, the SEC has showed you they're not going to bow down to you and say, okay, we'll move our season to help you out. No.
Right.
You
had your chance.
And you blew it.
Yeah.
You said we're going to postpone to the spring. And the SEC, ACC, and the Big 12 said, nah, we'll just push back a couple weeks and let it eat.
And that's why, I know you watched the Kirby Smart press conference, and they asked him about the asterisks, if you get a national championship, and he was saying, it could be the toughest team that ever played, if you win a national championship through all of this
right, and that's
going on.
Echoes what Tony Barnhart said, that's a Mr. College Football. Yeah. And he said it's not an asterisk, it's an exclamation mark.
Yeah.
Whoever wins this national championship, you've put up with a lot.
Yeah,
and it's not just the COVID stuff now.
And even if it was just like Ohio, even if it was the Big Ten, and them being out of it, that puts the asterisk beside it. They had a chance to play, so it's not like they were, forced out or anything. So they chose to not play. So it really
they chose to lay down.
Yeah. So I don't see how you could treat it as something different, like maybe a shortened season, maybe.
Yeah, I mean I don't even see how you could do the asterisk on that. I mean it's
10 conference games,
The SEC, if an SEC team beats Clemson in the national championship, because let's face it, who else is there?
Yeah,
I mean, is Oklahoma going to do it with Spencer Rattler?
Yeah, they're kind of young this year.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look. They've had Heisman Trophy winners and finalists on their teams,
and maybe Texas is going to be back eventually.
No, I don't even buy that. I mean, granted, they beat Georgia 2 years ago, and Ellinger coming, but I just don't see them on that level.
Yeah.
And, I don't even see – and if they do beat Oklahoma and then win the Big 12, they ain't going to have the horses to run with Clemson or whoever the SEC throws out there. And I think if you win 10 SEC games, 11 with the SEC championship, okay, you're legit. I mean, that's pretty legit no matter what's going on.
Dalton Parker says Texas. Is Texas back, Dalton? This is – I know Rick's, casting them into the fire over there, but if this is,
well, they got to prove.
This is their chance, I think, with Spencer Rattler and all the young, talent in Oklahoma, and they're not the same team they was with Hurts or with Kyler Murray. I think this is their chance to slide in there. Yeah, they're going to do it.
If they go, but they have to prove it to everybody.
Yeah,
and they're like I said, they had the Georgia win.
Yeah.
And that was nice. Then they did beat Oklahoma, which Oklahoma come back and beat them in that same season to win the Big 12. But if you want to prove you're back, you have to put an exclamation mark on that.
Right.
And I don't see them do that. And how does anybody in the Big 12 claim after what Oklahoma's done in that conference for seems like a decade now?
Yeah.
And which is just run through it. I mean, it's every year.
Yeah.
And so I don't see that changing. Now, we've talked about the Auburn bad news. The good news with Georgia and Alabama, they did get their scrimmage off.
Yeah.
Yesterday, their first scrimmage, which it's an odd off season. Normally, 3 scrimmages. This year you get 4.
Right.
Because there's
more scrimmages, less practice dates, apparently.
Well, yeah, that's what they're going with. But, there's some coaches might not do that last scrimmage.
Yeah.
If you got things settled. Now, I think Georgia.
Well, I think you still do it if you just want to do thud instead of.
Yeah, you might not do a full game practice.
But
usually the week before, I know. The way Georgia's done them before, that's your game simulation.
Right.
You do the coin toss, you do the sidelines, the entrance, you get all that stuff
get
out
the refs in there and everything.
Yeah, so you get everything going on.
Yeah.
But with this week, you look at this season rather, you look at Georgia and Alabama schedule. Week 1 at Arkansas for Georgia, at Missouri for Alabama.
What's the most interesting week 1?
I think Kentucky Auburn.
Yeah, I love that.
I think that's going to be
fun.
I do think there's a little bit of me wants to see that Ole Miss Florida game.
Yeah.
Because you got to think Lane's going to have an upset somewhere this season.
Right.
You have to believe that's going to happen.
That might, we could look back and that could end up being a pretty good fit. Lane at Ole Miss. That could be, I could see him, his swag kind of fits there.
But how long would he stay in an Ole Miss? Is it just going to be a job until something? Because he doesn't show when he went to USC. I understand that was his dream job.
Right.
But how quick he left out of Tennessee.
Yeah.
If Alabama was to come open, how quick would he just run out of
He'd be gone. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Why wouldn't he be, But I think he can still make some noise while he's there.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this 1 year he did Tennessee.
Yeah.
That one he beat Georgia. He dang near beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. You know, the Terrence Cody blocked field goal.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Mount Cody.
He almost beat beat Alabama. So it ain't like he was just horrible. And I don't think he's going to be that bad at Ole Miss. But John Rice Plumlee at quarterback,
definitely not.
That offense is going to have some. They're going to make some noise. Now, I don't think they're going to be able to beat an Alabama, so to say. But I think they can hang with a Florida.
Yeah.
Especially with Florida having some problems as far as, you know, I think Tony came back, but they did have some players opting in, opting out. And, you know, that's a distraction.
Yeah.
And,
our boy Tyler Redmond says, see, you guys are following my Play Charlie movement.
Yeah. Hey, Charlie Culberson should play. Johan Camargo should sit the bench and let Charlie Culberson play second base every game till Ozzy Albies comes back. Because I know Camargo went yard yesterday, but he's just an embarrassment out there. He looks like he don't care, and his numbers show it. Batting below 200. Yeah, Tyler, we really want Charlie Culberson to play. I mean, it's ridiculous that he's not. I mean, it's almost embarrassing. Austin Riley at least got his batting average up over 200 while playing and kind of in that movement.
Yeah. You know what? That's funny, though, that the Braves fans are literally calling out the lineup now. Like, why is Culberson not playing?
It makes no sense. I mean, it makes no sense.
They've given no reasoning?
No reason. It's just it's like the coaches does the exact same lineup, copy paste, just put it out there.
That's weird.
Yeah. Maybe Johan Camargo could opt out. Maybe it ain't too late for that. Wish he'd. Hey, speaking of opting out, Jamar Chase opting out at LSU.
Yeah.
Now, he said he wants to focus on his pro career. The agent's kind of – man, to me, that tells me all I need to know about LSU, what they got going on, what their energy is right now.
Man.
He knows that Miles Brennan's coming in there, and he is not going to have near the numbers Brady and Burrow helped him get.
Yeah.
And he's getting out of there. I think if there was any chance they were going to be competitive for the SEC championship, he wouldn't leave. But he sees what's going – because he's not the only one. What's that, 3 this week? Or after last week, they had a defensive lineman, a corner, and now Jamar Chase. That's awful.
I mean, that's on top of all the transfers and everything else. So it's over with.
Yeah,
I mean, it's over with, man.
I had LSU going 5-5 before any of these last few players opted out. Yeah, because I just felt that toxic energy going on, and now you got the Dwayne Guy stuff from
Darius
Guy stuff going on with Coach O. So that I mean, it's not good in Baton Rouge right now.
Yeah,
and I think you look at a team.
I think Coach O, I mean, look, all respect to the man because he's obviously a likable dude. Yeah, he went out and did it, and he's obviously a master motivator, but I think he just really had an aligning of the stars last year, man.
I think calling him a great coach because he won a national championship is like calling Gene Chizik a great coach because he won a national championship.
He was a great CEO.
Right. It's like Gene Chizik. Gene Chizik wasn't a great football coach.
Yeah.
He was just.
He delegated those responsibilities out, and Joe Brady and Ensminger was meeting of the minds, and it just worked out perfectly.
Yeah, I think they told Ensminger, stand back, old man, watch. And they just went and did it.
Right.
And I don't think they're going to be anywhere near that level on offense, and that's going to affect them.
You're not going to be with Miles Brennan. Miles Brennan isn't going to be the next Joe Burrow.
Hey, if you're on here on Facebook, we're on Facebook Live and YouTube Live today. If you're on Facebook, hit that share button. Share us out there. Let some new eyeballs get on here. And if you're checking out first time, we try to cover all the sports, but this time of year, it's football time. I mean, it's football season, college football, high school football kind of just takes over this part of the country.
Yeah, it does.
For good reason. It's it's just what has always been like down here, even when the Braves are in playoff run mode. Yeah. And I enjoy watching the Braves as much as anybody. But football is that's the number one sports action going on right now, especially with college football. The doubt a month ago everybody had.
Yeah.
A month ago was nobody's going to be playing. COVID's going to take over.
Now it's on and popping, and there was fans in the stands.
Fans in
Montgomery
the
last
stands.
night.
Hey, all the SEC stadiums, between 20-25% fans.
Yeah.
No band on the field, no cheerleaders and all that stuff. They could be in the stands and.
Yeah.
It's there.
So I don't know. People were getting pretty upset about bands not being on the field, but unless you're at the game, I mean, you're not seeing the band on the field anyway.
In some leagues, that's what's big. HBCUs, that's what they do.
Yeah, it's a huge deal.
That's part of the show.
Yeah.
And for in the SEC and all of FBS, that's not the main attraction.
Yeah.
That's why they get a 15-minute halftime and go on with
it. The home band's still going to be in the stands, so you're still going to have that.
You're going to have something going on.
You're going to have that vibe going on.
Yeah, now how they do social distancing and all that stuff, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I saw. I told you I was at the Harris County game this weekend. The band was walking with the rope, and it had a ribbon on it, so they were standing the equal amount of distance, staying I guess it's 6 feet apart.
Right.
But just kind of.
But the bleachers aren't like. Was they staggered?
Well, they went to the end zone. They didn't sit. They went over to the end zone by the water tower, and it's got to be a new norm for at least this year.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to roll with it.
I'm just glad to have them there. I mean, it
just sounds. It's more football, college football, high school football. You gotta have a band.
You need it.
And that's what makes it now. The halftime shows. I don't know what
that is what it is. I mean,
the concessions ain't going to be crowded. So I mean,
they'll be playing some videos and features
and they'll make it work. That's the thing. They're going to make it work, and they're going to make a spectacle out of whatever they do, and that's just how these multi-million-dollar colleges can rock and roll with it. So I'm excited for it.
I'll tell you who won't have a problem with it is Auburn. They do a pretty good job of pumping in some good music late in the game, late after halftime.
Auburn got
they like to play music instead of letting the band go for some reason, but it creates a good atmosphere.
They got the blue LED. Well, they got the color LEDs in Auburn this year.
Yeah.
So then of course they've got blue showing off it. They can throw any color out there.
Glad we ain't playing there.
Next year will be crazy when you have to go there for Georgia. Georgia and Alabama going next year, and the fans will get to experience all that for their first year. That'd be pretty neat. I think they're doing students only first game.
Okay, that's cool.
That's pretty. I think that's real cool.
That's a good salute to the students. Yeah, they deserve it.
And that makes sure every student at least gets one game. I mean, because you got to break it down somehow. So somebody's going to be left out.
Right.
So that gets every student in there for at least one game. And it's a big one. We talked about it early matchups. We can just get into it a little bit.
Is Joey Gatewood going to play?
He hasn't got his waiver. I think now. God. I want to say there's only 2 waivers they're waiting on, and it's Otis Reese at Ole Miss from Georgia.
He ain't getting his.
And then Joey Gatewood. I think everybody else has either been denied or accepted where they could play. And, SEC to SEC schools do take a little longer.
Right.
But is Joey Gatewood even the starting quarterback for Kentucky?
He would be.
Do you think he'd be over Wilson? I mean, he wouldn't have went up there, obviously, if he didn't think he had a chance to get it. But you think he'd get that starting job?
Yeah, I think he would. I think, I just think he's got more to offer than Wilson does. Wilson's, he's a good scrambler and he's a good deep ball. He's got a nice little cannon on him. But I think Joey Gatewood's just a little bit more dynamic as far as his passing ability, at least.
Yeah, and his run. I mean, you know what he can do with his legs and what he does in the red zone. And Kentucky's gonna have a good defense. We talked about that over and over, but you just can't. Was it Mark Stoops' defense is going to be?
Oh, it's going to be good. I mean, it's going to be disciplined. They're going to play hard.
He's got a good defensive line coming back, and Auburn's bringing in some new offensive linemen, trying to get them to gel together first game, and you lose that home field advantage right off the bat. So, I mean, Kentucky's kind of sitting there thinking they can pull this upset off.
Yeah.
Now, I think Auburn's going to have too much talent.
Joe Howard says War Eagles, so we see what he's going for.
Yeah, Joe. I think Auburn's going to just have too much talent. I do think recruiting-wise, they have stepped it up in the last couple of years.
Definitely.
And it's starting to show.
Yeah.
And I think this is the kind of game Gus has to win.
If he doesn't, seat's on fire.
It's always on fire till the Iron Bowl pretty much. But you got to think.
I don't even think that can save it.
The years that we talk about the time and time, the years that Auburn has to go to Alabama, to Georgia.
Right.
It kind of seems them are bad years, but you got to have some wins in between if you lose them two.
Yeah.
You can't lose to a Kentucky.
He's got to beat LSU.
Or to a Tennessee or something like that, like a couple of years ago. He's got to win these games and show that he's competitive. And, dropping to a Kentucky team that's really not projected to go, set the world on fire would be a real big kink in the armor to the week 1 of the season.
Yeah. Joe Howard says Flint River Academy played in a 3-team jamboree this past Friday night. There it is. It's coming. It's
coming.
Here, guys.
When you get, all these schools start going off, Central High School locally play their second game in a row, losing to Eufaula over the weekend. That's 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
That's big. I mean, that Pat Nick's kind of.
I mean, I guess, changing of the guard.
Yeah,
it could happen, but, you weren't expecting it to not to a team like Eufaula. That's not a team that usually makes much noise in the
not in a while.
In the state,
and I know a guy that don't listen to this, but a buddy of mine named Kenny Hines was on the 1979 Eufaula High School State Championship. Oh, yeah? And I always give him a shout out every time I see him. I shout that out because, people forget about things.
Yeah.
79 was, 40 years ago?
Yeah.
So I just, it's always a big deal. You win a state championship. You win a state championship.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
I think you're just a hero. That's like a local thing, no matter how big. Like Columbus is a big city.
Yeah.
But every time you see somebody that won a state championship, that's pretty neat in football. Because Lord knows Columbus got enough baseball state champions around.
Yeah. Plenty. I'll see Calvin Hodge in the chat. What's up, Coach Hodge?
Yeah.
Coach Hodge is he just won the city championship at Richards Middle School last year.
Warriors.
Yeah, Warriors, man, Warrior Nation.
Well, I was a Warrior back in the late 90s. That was fun times back then. That's when Coach Scott was at Richards Middle School before he went to Jordan.
Yeah.
Then we followed each other over to Jordan. Yeah, we'll get back on the high school football train this weekend. Now we're going to run up to Hamilton, that Harris County, Troup County.
It's going to be some, isn't that a rivalry game?
It's becoming, the rivalry used to be was real big was Harris County, Manchester.
Yeah.
And Harris County outgrew pretty much. So now Troup County, there's going to be a lot of talent out there. It's going to be a fun game to watch. I want to say they're doing like 40% capacity, which I don't know how they limit all that stuff.
They're not gonna.
No, I don't think any high school really. Which in Columbus you ain't got to worry about unless it's Kendrick and Spencer usually puts on a pretty good.
Carver and Spencer.
Spencer usually packs out Memorial.
Yeah, that is thick.
But really, Connect's never really that full on a Friday night.
No.
And I think if these teams in Columbus had their own field, you'd see a lot more.
Yeah. People come out.
Yeah, I think
to their own, to the home game.
Yeah.
I've always thought that, but at the same time, if nobody's ever. If you're not from Columbus and you ain't seen Memorial Stadium, it's beautiful, historic stadium. It's a bowl.
Oh, man. It's a great place.
It's fun. As a teenager, it's fun to play in. And it's a good atmosphere.
The history there, knowing George Auburn played there for so many years. Yeah. And it's kind of sad that it's kind of taking the hit. This year, taking a big hit.
Yeah, definitely.
With nobody playing there this year. Tuskegee Morehouse ain't playing there.
Yeah. None of the classics are happening.
None of the classics are going on. And that's really what's Columbus's backbone on football is the history. Because it's, here lately – you don't really have as much. Even with high school football, Carver, when Dale McGee left, it kind of took a hit.
Yeah.
And it ain't got to where it should have been. I think Northside's had some pretty good seasons.
Yeah, they've been up and down. I mean, I think they just went like 1-9, pretty sure. But, they to me, I think Shaw's always the closest to, like, coming back to what they was in the early 2000s.
Man, they were so good back then. And, Cam Greathouse and Anthony Wilbur was two quarterbacks each time they made their run. And them were, two really good dudes. And just they kind of have that cachet to them when you see them around town as knowing, that was the Charlie Flower days football team. They were good back then, too. They were real fun to watch. And it's, a sense of pride you have in a football team when it's going on locally.
So where is the Ole Miss Florida game in Gainesville?
I believe it's in Oxford.
Oh.
No, it's in Gainesville because they play A&M.
Do we have times for week one yet?
They haven't released times. I really expect it to come out this week.
You think Georgia will get noon?
Yeah, we'll get it. Georgia going to be at noon.
Yeah.
I think Alabama will be around like noon. SEC Network, 4 o'clock SEC Network type game.
And so, as far as we know, for the remainder of 20, the 3:30 games will still be on CBS, right?
Yeah, that'll be for this year. The contract they signed really don't start till 2023.
Right.
Either that year or
thinking
the
about
year
buying
after
them out.
Yeah, but they're talking about buying them out, which – we could say coincidentally, you look at 2023, also that's the year the Georgia-Florida contract in Jacksonville runs out.
Yeah.
So, they'll have to restructure something with the TV station.
Right.
Because they don't want that game at night no more because just all the chaos that went on last time that game was at night. When you have dead bodies, they usually don't like that. So they move the time around.
Home and home. Trying to tell you.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think the home and home would be big recruiting battles and just add more to the rivalry. Having it on campus, but there is something to being in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Going to the game, you see it. Going to, bowl games and stuff, you just get a different feeling at that game. It kind of has. You've been to NASCAR races before.
Yeah.
When you pull up that morning, it has that NASCAR race feel because you got all these flags flying, the grills going off. It does have a different feel.
It's a vibe.
It's a different vibe than just a normal football game.
Yeah.
And it's hard to put it into words what that is, but at the end of the day, you're losing a home game. You're losing recruit visits.
Yeah.
And you're losing some of that. And you're losing that. And I always go back to LSU, Alabama. What that game every year is just this big build-up.
They never called Georgia-Florida game of the century. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And, the last 2 years have been two top 10 teams.
Yeah.
And both times, I think
the neutral field is a way for, blowhard critics to kind of, take away from either side. Whoever wins, they'll say, but it's, it's a neutral field.
It's a neutral site.
Yeah.
And having, in my lifetime only once, but I don't really remember when Georgia played in Gainesville. I was 10 or 11.
I'm glad I don't.
And that was not exactly the glory days of Georgia football. The 90s was the worst decade in Georgia history.
Yeah.
So I don't remember that game. I don't remember Auburn, Alabama playing in Birmingham. I only remember them playing home and home. Well, I do remember when they played in Tuscaloosa. I was old enough to remember that when they played in Tuscaloosa for Auburn beating them. And that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And, but I wish I remember. I think it was, I'm sure Auburn fan in the chat, 88 or 90, the first year they played in Auburn. And that was just incredible, seeing how that atmosphere was. And knowing you could get that in Gainesville and Athens, it would be like that. It would be that
Judson
type
Kelly
of
says, but there's nothing like Jacksonville. Come on, Judd. Stop lobbying, man.
Well, Judd's been down there, I want to say the last 3 or 4 years in a row we've gone down there. And it is.
I bet it's a lot of fun. I mean, I'm not doubting it.
But the thing is, Birmingham was probably a lot of fun too, for Auburn and Alabama. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you're an Auburn fan, Auburn's a lot of fun.
But that year they had them in Auburn. That was just a different feel. You watch that game. It comes on SEC Rewind like once a month. But you watch that game and see what it meant to Auburn to have them on their field.
Yeah.
It was just
it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. And to have Florida come back between the hedges.
It'd be a big deal.
While Georgia's actually in a good place.
They can go to the swamp and beat them. That'd be a huge deal for Georgia fans. It would be for me personally, I know.
Yeah, I mean, it just would look good. Now, I don't remember. I'm sure Judd could look it up. Last time when Georgia went to Gainesville, I think it was 96. 95,
and they smoked us.
And ain't no doubt that. But look where Florida was then, and look where Georgia was then.
Yeah.
So I mean, you go to Birmingham. Auburn was at least winning games in Birmingham.
Right.
It was
against remaining slightly competitive.
Yeah, it wasn't. They wanted to play it at Auburn just because they were losing. Now in the 90s and early 2000s, that's what Georgia fans sounded like. You only want to play in Jacksonville or in Athens because you lose all the time. Now Georgia is winning more often. Yeah. 6 out of the last 9. And Georgia fans still want to play it in Athens because they know the importance to recruiting that could really have.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And, I just think that's where it's going to go moving forward. As long as Kirby's here, he's going to keep pushing for it. So,
and Kirby's the kind of guy that knows exactly what that game means. Because not only did he play at Georgia, that's obvious, he's from South Georgia.
Yeah.
He's from the part of the country that game was built for. Back in the day, they built that game so fans in South Georgia could go watch Georgia play.
Right.
And run down to Jacksonville instead of having to drive up to Athens. And he gets it, but he also understands his job as a recruiter.
Well, he also coached at Alabama, so he sees the effect of that LSU.
Exactly. He brings that up. He's the one that brings that up. Yeah, I mean, in fact, when they don't have that, the next year they got the Iron Bowl to bring recruits in.
Yeah.
Georgia don't have that. Georgia would get Auburn, and then they don't have another one the next year. And with the Auburn schedule, you got Auburn, Georgia Tech the same year at home. You don't have, last year Georgia had Notre Dame. Yeah. So, I mean, Alabama has a big game at least once a year, either LSU or Auburn. They could rotate around. Georgia don't have that. And it is kind of a big deal in recruiting.
Oh, Judge checked back 94 it was. So that was 2 years before Werfel won the national. Not,
Did he say
not a good error. No, he said it wasn't pretty. I don't think we need to go into any further detail, Judd. You can withhold that information.
Well, we know the next year was like 52-7. Yeah. The first time somebody scored 50 in Athens.
Megan Lee Tanner says, enjoying the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
glad y'all are hanging out.
Yeah.
Anthony White, what's up? What's up, Anthony? How them Lakers holding up, buddy?
Hey, he's pretty much a Kudzu NBA correspondent.
Yeah, he is.
He watches all and I love
he's
it.
a contributor.
He's always commenting on the games.
Yeah.
His son, Portland fan, he's a big Laker fan.
Yeah,
so
that's nice.
He's having a big fun with that. So he always posted on something on the NBA, and that's how I keep up with the NBA. Is Anthony's Facebook post.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Playoff action, man. Sports are coming back, man. I think the what'd you call them earlier? Football, the anti-football COVID people.
Yeah.
I think they're starting to shrink in number for sure as more of these games start getting played and more of the return to normalcy happens and people are going to, get a little bit hype about it and it's going to be over with from there. The ball's going to be rolling.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we really got to go with what Gus says here in a little bit when he has his press conference. That's going to be big on what's going on at Auburn exactly.
Well, they can make those. They'll have a makeup date for those,
Yeah, they'll make up the practices, but it's interesting to see what the numbers at. I know Auburn and Alabama both had big numbers.
Yeah.
Student body wise, I haven't heard anything on the Alabama football team having big numbers. I haven't heard anything. Obviously, they're still practicing.
But they're going through routine testing. So if they was symptomatic, it would.
Yeah, so
be a different story.
What's going on? We don't know. I guess in the back of your mind, you still got to say there still could be the possibility of some social injustice type stuff going on.
Yeah, I've seen Kirby speak on that, and they had a meeting, and the guys were talking about they wanted to take different actions, and they have like a punch list of things they'd like to do around campus. I think Kirby was harping on they want to get 100% of the student body to go vote in November. So there's I think that's the most positive way you could go about it.
What Alabama's got a march.
Yeah.
Tomorrow they're marching at 4:00. What Georgia did was just what Kirby said. They had a film day.
Yeah.
And
they didn't do any football that day, is what he said.
They just sat and had a 3.5 hour talk. He said it's supposed to be just a short talk about what was going on. And they just kind of
3.5 hours. Yeah.
And sometimes that's the kind them meetings are more important.
Yeah.
Than any football hype video. Any speaker you could get to come in. Is sometimes when these players know they can go to these coaches.
What's that bond you build?
And it really helps with that. Whether it's the social injustice or, anything going on with your family, when you can go to your coach, and not just Kirby, not just that he sits there and hears you, but he's actually listening to you. And you see that at Alabama by Saban letting these guys do this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not just the football team, by the way. It's all athletics. They're wanting to march on Monday now. That's how they want to handle it. They got the 500 something cases of COVID, but if you can do whatever you got to do and keep the numbers down, then go for it.
Right. Dalton Parker says Mavs got eliminated. Ooh, Dalton, that hurts, man. Feel bad for Luka, dude. He's an ice cold killer, ice in his veins. He's dropped dimes this series, so I'm sure we'll see more of him. Maybe not the next, Dirk. He plays a little bit different style, but man,
would we know who he was if he stayed with the Hawks?
Probably, yeah.
The Hawks would be in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
You think he's good enough to have taken them to the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so.
Or Trae Young couldn't make that step.
I mean, it's kind of tough right now.
That's what I'm saying. There's nobody.
The roster's kind of shallow right now.
And then the lottery comes, you get the 6th pick.
Yeah.
Which in basketball is
it's a joke. Let's be real.
I mean, that's what I don't understand with basketball. You get so many of these guys that are one and done.
Yeah.
But there's not that many.
They come in the league and they're
picks.
not ready.
Yeah.
I don't. It's a dumb system, and it's probably because now they have the G, so they're farming these guys now. They're G leaguing them and all that stuff. So,
but a 6th pick should be a good pick.
Yeah.
And now it's like you hope to find a diamond in the rough at 6, and you're like, what?
You can though.
You can. You're right. There's always somebody out
there. Atlanta Sports Management.
I'm going to tell you right now. I can pretty much guarantee this is not going to be a good draft pick.
Yeah, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be somebody that legs fall out and have a back problem, and they make one game.
Anthony White's saying, "How was the high school football in Georgia Friday night?" Rick, I know you was out there.
It was great atmosphere, and I was.
You sent me some good footage, man. That was a good little solid lick you sent me there. Middle linebacker bear down on them.
That was a freshman out there.
Was it?
They let the varsity play each other. Then at the end of the quarter, they'd let the JV and then the freshman team get out there and take some snaps on the field with a pretty good crowd. For an inter-squad scrimmage.
Speaking of that good footage, I wish I would have told somebody to cue this up before the show, but that Trey Hill video. Athens, Georgia, Jalen Carter, 4-star freshman versus Trey Hill, which is he a senior this year?
Junior.
He's a junior. So and then Jalen Carter put him to the ground, buckled his knees, and it was pretty crazy to see a guy that's that raw and that strong. Coming in 18 years old, man, it's a good sight for Dan Lannon. And you could even see Kirby Smart's face when he turns around in the video how
it's
blown away he was. It was.
I mean, you
crazy.
put that with Jordan Davis at the defensive line. That's what Georgia hadn't had that Alabama has had in the last few years.
The thing about Jalen Carter too is he's pretty diverse as far as his play style. So he could play that nose guard, or he could scoot out 2 or 3 or 5. So he could go out wide.
We'll get into Georgia. We don't want to turn into the Georgia podcast, but we know we got Georgia fans listening. You look at that defensive line. You got Jordan Davis, Carter, Trevon Walker.
Yeah.
You put Nolan on the outside. You have Jermaine Johnson on the outside. You got all these guys that they could move in and out.
It's deep.
Yeah, I mean, the outside linebacker at Georgia, 4 to 5 plays, you got your hand in the dirt.
Yeah.
I mean, you're more of a defensive end.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you look at that.
It's a hybrid 3-4 type thing.
You look at that roster, and you pretty much can say Georgia finally has a defensive line that can compete with any other defensive line.
Absolutely.
In football.
Especially in depth.
Yeah.
Which is, something that killed us in both games versus Alabama in the recent years.
If you're checking out this video, hit the like button on it, hit the share button, get it out there, let more people see what's going on. Appreciate it, Alex walking out of here on us. And then, hit the like and share. We want to get more eyeballs on it. I really appreciate everybody the last week or so. We went from like 300 to 500 in no time.
Yeah.
We've been really trying to get more news out there as it comes. I mean, as these press conferences, it's kind of hard keeping up with 3 of them. A lot of them do them all at the same time and all this stuff coming in, but we're trying to get it out there as fast as we can and get it to y'all. I want people to be informed about what's going on, especially at Auburn, Georgia, Alabama.
That's why you guys need to be on the YouTube. And that's where it's all going.
We're about to hit this YouTube. We're going to get the footage from the Harris County game.
Yeah.
It rained at halftime. I'm not going to be responsible for getting equipment wet, so I packed up and got the equipment out of there at halftime. But, I did holler at Coach Fox and let him know how much we appreciate it. I got some really good stuff with them. They look good. They got some good talent out there. They got a kid from Valley. His name escapes me right now. He's number 2. He's going to be a stud. He's electric as it gets. I can't wait to see him Friday night against Troop County. And like I said, I got a great touchdown catch that he had, catching like the 3 and then falling into the end zone.
Yeah.
We're going to have that on YouTube.
So Anthony White, subscribe to the YouTube.
Kudzu Sports.
We're going to be, covering Harris County, some big dogs around here, and we're going to be dabbling on the other side of the river a little bit too.
Yeah, we're going to try to get. I talked to some guys over at Central. We got to get over there. I want to talk to Coach Nix. I want to see what they got going on. They practice. It's like a D1 practice going on when you ride by the stadium. Deal. They got 100 players on the field on the team. So, getting over to Central will be big. They have some big games with Hoover, then Eufaula. Mm-hmm. And, I like to, want to check them out. I want to see what they got going on, talk to them. Losing these 2 games, giving up all these points. That's not Central-like.
No.
But, bringing in a new coach, it's, high school just like any other level. Learning these systems. And with the COVID stuff, it is a little different. We're used to Central just out baller everybody. And, sometimes that don't work.
Tyler Morrison, I guess he was a little late to the show. What y'all think about LSU having Chase opt out? Tyler, we think, they're done, man. It's more than Chase. It's like so many people have opted out. There's been transfer portal action going on. There's people leaving for the draft. I think there's like over 19 or 20 people. I think
Chase got it to 20.
Yeah, on LSU's offensive depth chart.
Gone.
That are going to be gone.
And that's big. You can't replace that much talent.
Yeah.
And going on. If anybody wants a Georgia, Auburn, or Alabama colored mask, let us know. We'll get it out to you.
Yeah.
First one that says they got it, they get that color. We really, Stephanie does great work. These are great masks. And so, if you want one, we Polka Dots Galore and More is the one they're giving them away.
Yeah.
And they said, they wanted whoever first to comment, that team was going to give them a mask. So if you want it, just holler at us. We'll let you get it.
If you're a Jordan Red Jacket in the chat, comment now.
Coach Scott, I sent you a Facebook message. You can check out my show, dog. Come on.
Oh, Tyler Morrison says he's like an Auburn one. All right, Tyler. All right.
So we'll get that one out there. Yeah.
Well, I bet you're glad LSU's going to be sorry this year.
That's like an automatic win for Gus right there.
Is that one in Auburn this year?
Yeah. But it don't matter. It don't matter.
Yeah, really.
Coach O had all that energy about we'll play anybody anywhere. You can say that when you got Joe Burrow on the team.
He's been pretty quiet past couple of weeks, hasn't he?
Right now, he's been barking about Kirby having them guys come on that recruiting visit while their basketball program has been paying folks.
Dalton Parker says Jordan. All right, Dalton, we got you with that one.
He want the Jordan one?
He want the Carmen and the gray.
Yeah, he can have it.
Carmen and the gray.
So really the Georgia one's up.
Yeah.
Or, hey, like he's called it with Jordan, that's the Central High School, which I don't know how many folks we got from Phoenix City checking us out. Usually they hit the day
Phoenix
late.
City. I don't know. I was going to make a joke, but I ain't even going to.
Yeah, we ain't going to make no joke. We love Phoenix City.
Yeah, we do.
Like Frankie Bell from over there. They got, it's great. I got a buddy of mine at work. I'll tell you real quick. Tim Heskley, funniest guy in the world. And he's Mr. Central as far as at Pratt Whitney.
Right.
And, man, to hear the stories he talks about in them games, and I don't think he's missed one since he went to school there.
Yeah.
Man, he loves Central like you're supposed to love your high school.
Right.
And, you don't get that anywhere else. You don't get that at a lot of these high schools, and I'm guilty of it too, where I just don't have that passion that I wish I had that man has for Central High School. And, he loved them when they wasn't winning nothing.
Yeah.
And, you could just hear, like some folks are with Alabama, that man has the passion for it. And I love it. I just eat that up. I eat it up.
Yeah, I love
that
kind
of passion.
Because I think it's important, man, for your community. So
he played football at Central, and he's so proud that his son played at Central. It just meant something to him.
Yeah,
and it seems
keeps community built. It makes you take pride in it.
And I think Columbus don't have that because it seems like they build a new high school every 15 years.
It's too many, and there's a lot of zoning issues and stuff.
You got to think. I had a brother, and then my mom and dad. All 4 of us went to different schools.
Yeah.
I mean, what's going on with that? I mean, my dad went to Spencer. My mom
where
went to Shaw.
Where I lived, I could have went to 3 different high schools.
Yeah.
Just because of my address.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. You know, my brother went to Hardaway and didn't play sports. Then I went to Jordan. And when he was at Hardaway, their baseball team was great.
Dalton Parker says his pops had a Central Red Devil tattoo for 50 years now.
I mean, Central just different. Let's just
it's just different.
Let's just throw that out.
I do remember that, Dalton. I think your granddad, your dad, didn't he play football at Central too? I know he had the Letterman jacket from back in the day. Was vintage with it.
They just different.
They are, man.
My buddy Tim got knocked out at football practice by Jeremiah Castile, who played at Alabama. He said it knocked him out. He woke up. He quit the team. The coach said, Hesley, you're going to be starting by your senior year. He said, I ain't going to survive to my senior year. And went and played tennis. Tim Hesley's he's a Central legend. He's a great guy. I love him to death. And, yeah, that's the pride that I wish I had for even like a Jordan. I love Jordan. I think a lot of Jordan High School. I think Coach Scott, Coach Dimitri there now, you know, it just meant a lot. But it was just I don't have that same – you know, brimstone passion that some of these guys have, and you see it across that river at Central High School, 100%.
Yeah.
And, you know, I am envious that I don't have that.
Yeah. No, it is cool, though, how big it is and how much they support it and the atmosphere they create on game nights. You know,
what was it? The last 2 years they played for the state championship over in Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 2 years ago. The guy on the radio said, if you want to rob somebody in Phoenix City tonight, because everybody was in Auburn. You just, you know, Carver didn't pack out the Georgia Dome. You know, Shaw didn't pack out the Georgia Dome. I guarantee you, it don't matter where they play, Central going to pack out a stadium.
Yeah, they're coming. All of them.
And that's just that.
All of them.
The varsity blues type passion you see.
Yeah.
You know, you see that some other places. You know, unfortunately, Columbus don't have that in football.
Yeah, they really don't, and it's, you know, unfortunate. But, you know, you see there's good people out here in the city, so hopefully they can keep pushing through and, you know, if somebody starts winning, then I think the city could rally behind them a little bit.
I tell you, if somebody in the city starts winning this year, Kudzu Sports hopping on board.
We riding with y'all.
we ride.
Let us go to the Dome.
Yeah, let us go to Mercedes-Benz. We'll be out front doing a live shot. Come on. We don't care. It don't matter who it is. We'll be out there. Love to say it'd be Harris County just because, you know, I think Coach Fox he's been up there 9 years. I got, you know, a great team. And it's fun to be on something from the beginning.
So back to Auburn, because I know you're big on the Auburn train this year, you know.
Yeah.
How do you think this is going to affect them? I mean, you know, obviously we're waiting to hear what Gus has got to say. But, I think missing these dates, I mean, you know, are they going to be able to make those up? Are they going to be able to squeeze them in before the 26th? Are they going to, you know, is this going to be the domino that pushes everything back a week or?
I don't think so because you have that built-in extra week.
Yeah, okay.
You had an extra week of practice where you didn't have – and you – think back what Gus said last week.
Even less reps. I mean, he's pretty experienced on offense, right?
Yeah, and you're looking at what Gus said last Saturday, and it still rolls into this. You know, freshmen made less mistakes because of all the walkthroughs they've been doing.
Right.
Because of these added practices where you didn't have a spring, you've been doing walkthroughs. You might not have had a football in your hand, but you've been doing classrooms and stuff like that.
That was fully focused on the mental aspect, which is pretty valuable.
And I'd imagine they're still doing that via Zoom or however they want to do it. You could shut down football facility and still have these meetings and still have these things go on. So I just see, you know, from a physical aspect, they might have to make it up, you know, make up the hours the NCAA might allow them. But really and truly, you know, how much are you missing as far as, you know, offensive linemen? They're really trying to make, you know, create a new offensive line replacing there. Mm-hmm. But everywhere else, you're pretty much set, you know, at Auburn. Other than the offensive line, their tight end group's still young. But Chad Morris is actually using the tight end, so that could be something they want to get in practice. Yeah.
I mean, you know, they're going to need reps because of the new system, but I think, you know, they can always fall back to, you know, what Gus does, which is only like 4 plays anyway. Sorry, Gus. Oh. Sorry, Tyler Morrison in the chat. I just seen you.
But, you know,
but I'm just saying, you know, if things break down, they could go back to that and kind of coast on that muscle memory to help get them through a little bit until,
you know, Chad Morris is going to call the plays.
Yeah.
So it affects that kind of his rhythm with the players. Cause, you know, these coaches get in rhythm. They go to practice. They learn these players.
Yeah.
Then you hit a stop button.
They discover patterns, and you know.
Now you got to wait and just watch film of the practices you already seen.
Right.
So that does kind of cause a hesitation. But I don't think it'll affect any other dominoes as far as pushing the season back, because there is still 27 days, you know, 4 weeks till the season gets here. And with the new guidelines of like 6 days quarantine instead of 14, you know, there's still an opportunity to get out.
Yeah, you know, if you come in contact, they were saying like 6 to 7. If you Or no, if you come in contact 3 to 5, if you test positive, like 6 to 7.
Yeah,
so it's a quicker turnaround time, and I think that's big news
and
for
what
college
position?
football.
You got if it's an offensive lineman that has it, then is it the whole offensive line's got to go because they've been in the rooms. I mean, there's that way of going. Who has been in contact. So there's a lot of that going on. I'm hoping when Gus talks, we're going to start back practice tomorrow.
Yeah, I think they will.
And I do too. Now
I think that's what's going to happen.
It is odd. They call it 8:00 Central Time press conference.
Yeah.
That's weird to me. I mean,
well, maybe they already, if they had Zoom meetings scheduled all day, that's,
Yeah, that gives them more time because usually what I've learned from, this year, my first year covering Auburn is like they're dead on what time they say.
Yeah.
Gus is bam. They say 1:00. You get on that Zoom call, I get there 5 minutes before 1:00. He's popping up on the screen. And, for them to do that, I knew it's going to be something kind of serious. And I'm thinking it's got to be the COVID cases. And I really don't think it's going to affect them in the long run because they got to get, contain it and then let it ride out. And with all these new numbers coming out, it's really and truly going to help. I don't think there's no way.
Yeah, I think the tide's turning at this point.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way college football don't happen September 26th.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say somebody don't get an outbreak that week.
Yeah,
and that game gets pushed back. But that's why the December 12th open date's there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Sankey has done a good job of building in these days.
They built in their own bubble and their own cushion to
And I say Sankey, it's the people around him.
Yeah, it's the presidents of the universities
but,
themselves.
A great leader surrounds himself with greatness. It's kind of that kind of deal with, I think Sankey's done a great job with who he's surrounding himself with, making these decisions, the medical staff and all that.
Back on Auburn, Tyler Morrison says, speaking of Auburn, I'm hearing we're throwing the tight ends over the middle, and that's groundbreaking for Gus. Yeah, that is, Tyler.
Well, they had, last
I don't even remember
seeing
tight end on Auburn's field.
Yeah, and I like to see how they're going to make some plays. I like to see Tyler Fromm get out there. I just don't know if he's going to be able to crack.
He's a pretty big body.
Yeah, he's a lanky.
Yeah.
He don't seem like he put on as much weight as I would have.
Yeah.
You see in a typical SEC tight end. But Chad Morrison's going to hit that tight end.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be pretty good. Just some freshness in that offense.
I think for Bo Nix, it's big because that's your safety valve now.
Yeah.
You kind of have that tight end where last year's, Seth Williams or Busk with Eli Stove and Schultz being out.
A year under Bo Nix's belt, you're obviously expecting to see some improvement, right?
That's going to be the biggest thing for Auburn.
Yeah.
Bo has to have that step up. And, to me, it's so much disrespect when you see the returning quarterbacks in the SEC and Bo Nix not being in the top 5, he's got to put himself in there. It ain't his fault, really. I'm not saying that he should be number 1, but I think he needs to put himself ahead of Kyle Trask. Okay?
Definitely. Tyler Morrison says Brandon Frazier, freshman, and 6'7", 270. That's a tight end. You're like, wow, that's a big deal.
That's like,
And, that's pretty versatile. Y'all be able to get some like wing action going off of that. Some good little run game with a dude that big.
Yeah, and they're going to have that triple option as far as the run pass option they've had.
Yeah.
And, having a body like that can get behind somebody with that frame and get one-on-one with the secondary. We talked about it with Darnell Washington at Georgia. It just creates a mismatch.
Yeah. In
a good way for you. If you're Auburn, you want to be able to use that body and not put that to waste. And
Tyler Morrison says can't miss a wide open joiner on 4th down this year. Yeah, you can't do that.
That was bad. That was the Georgia game last year where they threw behind the back coming out. Yeah, but that's a freshman. And not just that, it's easy on TV when you see a quarterback make the throw behind somebody, but things are going. I always give the benefit of the doubt to the player. Now, whether I'm right or wrong, I just think there's a reason he's playing out there and I never step foot on the field and that level.
Yeah, I can feel that.
You like to think you could
see somebody. Yeah, exactly.
You think if you got a Division I scholarship,
you can do it once. You can do it.
And you know what? 9 times out of 10, Bo Nix probably hits that throw.
Yeah.
He probably throws it out in front of him. He, catch and run, first down easy.
Right.
But when it really mattered, he didn't make the throw.
Yeah. But he made up for it at Alabama game, though. When everybody was watching, he
had
made
a good game.
Plays.
He had a really good game. That was, the Auburn defense had, it's hard to say. They gave up, 42 points or something, but they still had a good game.
Yeah.
But, who was it? Waddle kept getting around.
Mm-hmm.
Ruggs kept just scoring time after time for Alabama. So, Auburn's defense didn't play horrible against in the Iron Bowl last year. But,
no, it's just
they just laid the egg against Minnesota. And that's what I've kind of look at with Gus every year is there's always that letdown of once something happens, it's like, boom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless you're the beat Alabama, they're on this high. and then they lose the Outback Bowl in a game they should have won. I mean, they were way more talent than what Minnesota had, and this just it happens to everybody. It hadn't happened to Alabama in the last 10 years, but I think Oklahoma, when they beat them in the Sugar Bowl, was about the last time they actually laid an egg in a bowl game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like they did with Utah in 08. I mean, it happens to everybody, but
I guess in a bowl game, but Clemson kind of drilled them around a little bit, and
yeah, that was pretty bad. Yeah. Alabama hadn't recovered from that, and I kind of got a feeling they're going to make people pay for it this year. I think Alabama's going to have a great team. I think the Georgia-Alabama game is going to happen twice, and it's going to be a great game. I think that's going to be something that if you're a Georgia fan, if Georgia loses in Tuscaloosa, they're going to hear about it when they play again in December, and it's going to be a lot because Georgia has that right now. They can't beat Alabama, and if they don't beat them in October, it's only going to be magnified when they play in December.
I don't know, man. I'm starting to lean towards Alabama not winning the West. I know we already
I don't know
made some scheduled picks, but man, every person LSU loses, I'm like, this is opening the door for Texas A&M.
You think so? They play week 2.
Yeah.
Alabama and A&M play week 2.
I think it's their chance. I really think it's their chance.
Well, you know what? It's about time. How long Kellen Mond we talking? He's been there 20 years, and Jimbo.
Man, I'm not going to count Jimbo out because even when he came into Florida State, it was not great. What Bobby Bowden had going when he stepped in. So
and just think about how bad he left it when he left.
He left it.
You see that video? Somebody posted a scrimmage highlight, and everybody was saying it looked like Pee Wee football because everybody was so small.
Yeah,
that's where FSU is now. Imagine.
Tyler Morrison says, "Is Daniels pushing Newman at all at UGA?" No, Tyler, not really. Not because not because of his talent level or whatever, but basically because he's only cleared for practice.
He can't take.
No, he's not. Yeah, he's not cleared for any kind of contact yet. He's just cleared for, slight football activity. So it could be a few weeks into the season before he's even cleared for a game. So I think unless Jamie Newman's god awful and nobody knows it yet, then he'll probably solidify that job.
One thing, maybe it was nothing, but I kind of made me think when I was listening to Kirby talk yesterday after the scrimmage. He was talking about how they broke up the quarterback. Everybody ran with the first team, so many snaps. And then he said, and he just kind of threw it in there, we let DeJuan run some red zone with the ones. You think there might be some packages we see where DeJuan comes in there on short yardage or something where I don't know why you would if you have a Jamie Newman type, but with DeJuan's size, he would be the one just run in there and fall for the first down type deal.
I think they'll probably put something like that in. Now, how often they use it, it would probably just totally depend on how comfortable they feel with Jamie Newman making the play.
And maybe there's a plan in case something happens with Jamie Newman and you do have a Daniels or a Beck and you want to have short yardage, then you go with a DeJuan if he's not playing. I think DeJuan's a great quarterback. We didn't get to see last year because of the issue with the brain.
Yeah, and that's,
tumor.
It kind of makes me nervous, even thinking about him going back on the field. But, he seems like a tough kid, a competitor. I'm sure he wants out there. So.
Well, you got to think, he looks around that quarterback room, and you got Jamie, you got JT, you got Carson Beck, you got Brock coming in.
Yeah.
You got to go.
Yeah, you got to take advantage of every rep.
If you think you're going to play, you got to go.
Yeah.
You got to play and try to show out because you got a lot of talent around that quarterback room in Athens.
Tyler Morrison says A&M makes him sick.
I don't think there's a lot of people got much faith in Jimbo.
Yeah.
And, I kind of think it's because he ain't done nothing the last 2 years.
Yeah.
He hadn't made them any better than when Kevin Sumlin was there. They're still that mediocre team that gets blown out in big games on national TV. And until that changes, I don't see how anybody's going to take them serious. And like I said, we're going to find out early.
Yeah. That's week 2.
Week 2, Alabama A&M.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
And, that's
going to be wonderful.
If A&M loses that game, Jimbo's got the heat on him all year. Because you can't lose to LSU, Auburn, and all that and have 3 or 4 losses.
Yeah. Justin Fields was at UGA yesterday for the scrimmage. What do you think? I think it's just all smoke, no fire there. He's just there, visiting some friends. And
his sister's still there. His sister still plays softball for Georgia.
She's still on campus. And, obviously he didn't leave on the best of terms with his, his little stuff he had going on his transfer waiver. So seeing him back is kind of a surprise. But
I think that stuff was in the waiver just to get playing.
Yeah, we all know what it was,
If he was really in fear for his safety, he wouldn't have went there the other day.
Yeah, exactly. So, but, I think he sees how crowded that QB room is. So there's no coming back to that.
There's no coming back. And I don't think you'd put him now with what Jamie's been there, this is the third week of practice coming up.
And you can't, burn one of these, you can't shirt one of these guys because you got talent coming in behind them that's going to be ready to play. So if you start piling them up too much, it's just going to be the same situation it was with, it'll be Fields and Fromm all over again for a couple years to come. So you just have to move past that and know that he's not coming back, and Newman's probably going to be the dude.
Hey, we're talking high school football. If you're not going out to watch it live this weekend, I want to say Friday night, Brock Vandergriff and Gunnar Stockton.
Nice.
So you got the
21 and 22.
Yeah, you got the number one quarterback in the next two classes. Stockton committed to play at South Carolina. Vandergriff committed to play in Athens.
Do you think that's going to stick?
What?
That South Carolina commitment.
I think so, because he come down to Georgia, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Georgia's quarterback room is crowded.
Super crowded.
And look who's recruiting him up at South Carolina.
Yeah.
You got Bobo. Who got Stafford, who got Aaron Murray, who got
Muschamp's low key good recruiter.
Jacob Eason.
Muschamp gets in some dogs, man. I mean,
Bobo ain't low key. He is just a dominant recruiter.
Yeah.
You got him back in this
part.
This is his part of the world.
He goes after it.
I mean, he's in the Southeast. He's right up there at South Carolina. He can run into Georgia, and he showed he can get. He went all the way to Washington and got Jacob Eason for Georgia.
Yeah.
So I mean, he got the ball rolling for Jacob Eason.
Right.
Then Mark Richt got the commitment, but man, that just shows you.
Tyler Morrison says, doesn't the Sun Belt kick off this week? I don't have this info, Rick. Do you know if they?
Yeah, I think there's some Sun Belt. I think Thursday night Central Arkansas comes back on.
Okay. So short week.
We're gonna watch the Bears play again, and no doubt I'm gonna watch.
They was laying the wood last night,
There's
man.
some good hits going on.
Yeah, they was laying it, dude.
I ain't gonna lie, I don't remember nobody's name.
It doesn't matter.
But I know there's a little short guy on Austin P.
Yeah.
Got leveled going out of bounds.
Yeah.
Good hitting.
It was good licks last night. I liked it.
But yeah, I think
it had me fired up.
And it kind of showed you what we can expect out of football with the announcers being in studio, the sideline reporting the way it was.
Yeah.
Is what we can expect when the SEC finally does. I think this weekend, but the next is the ACC starts going. And we get Georgia Tech, Florida State.
Tyler Morrison says UAB plays Thursday. Thanks, Judd. Can you check on that real quick for us?
Yeah, and I know there's another game Saturday. Judd, I'm horrible. I didn't have my notes out here. I know Monday's the Navy BYU game.
Yeah, Navy BYU, okay.
But I don't, Saturday there's another SMU and somebody, Arkansas State, I think is the game Saturday. I was looking forward to.
That's not going to be a bad game.
That's going to be a good one. It's the 8 p.m. game, SMU and Arkansas State. So that's, Georgia played Arkansas State last year. Of course, that was the week Blake Anderson, his wife, passed away to breast cancer.
Yeah.
And at the Georgia game, the fans wore
great gesture. Yeah,
wore pink and all that good stuff.
It was real nice.
Yeah, it was. That's a pretty neat atmosphere. So, Arkansas State. I think for any Georgia fan, as long as Anderson's at Arkansas State, Georgia fans are going to kind of look in and just kind of hold that part of him. But I like SMU. I think it's because I watched the 30-30 on the Pony Express about 5 years ago, and I just kind of like pulling for SMU. And,
I'll take Arkansas State in that. Well, yeah.
I mean,
I'll take them. I think they're a decent squad.
I saw so much on Austin P last night was laying 7.
Yeah.
And so many people, they're going to blow them out. Then they ran the kick, first play from scrimmage, ran it back 75 yards. And I was like, man, maybe they will. But then they lost outright. I was like, dang, huh? And it was a good finish. You had 2 scores in the last 2 minutes. That's a great finish. Yeah. Especially if you're watching an FCS game when at the end of the day you realize what you're watching when it was over. But it was college football.
Okay, UAB Central Arkansas, September 3rd.
Yeah, so that's going to be big.
Nice.
Then next Thursday, the big boys, Texans and Chiefs, with fans in the stands and going on. Then next Sunday, we'll be in the studio. You got the Falcons at 1.
Nice.
Falcons and Seahawks. Then at 4 o'clock, you got the Buccaneers and Saints. So the end of that game, we'll be in studio. And we won't be able to show it live, but we're going to have a TV in front of us talking about the game. So as we're talking about college football and the Falcons game, we'll give updates on the Buccaneers and the Saints, which I think the Buccaneers are going to win the NFC South this year. I hope they win the whole
I got to
NFL.
listen to this off football season.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Especially when the Falcons aren't doing that good.
Oh, my God.
That's what the Falcons got to beat the Seahawks week 1.
That's going to be a good game, man.
It is. But the Falcons can't get off on a bad foot, man. Every year they finish strong.
Dude, they got to stop making Matt Ryan have to score 40 points to even try to win.
But every year, the last 2 years, They've had a horrible season, but they finished so good. The only thing it does is mess up the draft pick.
Yeah, they finished the last 6 games like 5-1. Yeah, they're like first in the conference, but they're really third seed. Like
if you're gonna suck for all 16 games.
Yeah,
and get a good draft pick.
I agree.
Don't suck for 10 of them and then go 5-1 and just get the 13th pick when you could have had the third pick.
But at the same time, you're a competitor and a grown man. You got a lot of pride.
A lot of pride.
Yeah.
And the Falcons just seemed. I mean, the thing about the Falcons would have been able to get Chase Young on defense.
Why you gotta mention that as a possibility?
I mean, that's just what could have been, but you had to go beat the 49ers and all that at the end of the year. But that's all good. I hope the Falcons have a good year, especially with us having the show.
Yeah,
this
will be great.
Local
this is
sports.
Gonna be fun.
We want a team from the Columbus, Phoenix City area to win state. We want a team from the local 3 to represent the playoffs, and then we want the Falcons to have a good year and a good run in the playoffs. Hopefully get to the Super Bowl again. They got the talent on offense to get to the Super Bowl.
I don't even know if I want to deal with that anymore.
What, going to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
You'd rather just finish around 15th best in the league?
I don't know. It's tough.
I mean, that's with the Falcons.
It hurted.
They got the talent to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
On offense. Now, defense, that's a whole nother ball game. That's all the time we got this week. Go to Polka Dots Galore and more on Facebook.com.
Yeah.
Stephanie Park. She makes all kind of cool stuff. She always does some great shirts. She made some Nothing Finer podcast shirts, the originals.
Yeah.
Then my buddy JT thrown in some at the end when Nothing Finer pod was going on.
Tyler and Dalton, you guys hit us up on at the Kudzu Sports Facebook page in our DMs or something.
Yeah, get it. Tyler, I can get yours. I know. Then Dalton, we'll get it. We still got the red and black one. Don't nobody claim it. We'll just have it up all week.
Yeah, I'll take it.
That ain't gonna happen. Maybe get your wife to slide in there under a fake name.
Yeah,
but
I might do that.
Stephanie does great work. So if you get it, if you want to, get on her page on Facebook, the Polka Dots Galore and more, and pick out something else, anything you can imagine. I wear her phone out because I made buddy of mine's daughter is on the Auburn climbing team, so she made some Auburn climbing shirts because you can't buy them at the store.
Yeah.
So we made them up. So she always does great work. Big shout out to Alex at National Audiovisual Services. Great work they do. He hooked me up Friday with a camera for the Harris County game. Go to YouTube, Kudzu Sports, subscribe. It'll be posted up when that video gets uploaded. Big shout out to AJ and Judd helping out in the bullpen. AJ's really, this 3 out of 4 weeks he's been flying solo.
Yeah.
Ain't missed a lick.
Killing
We do miss Alex being here, but we understand he's got so much going on with Navs that it's hard to ask him to stay here too long. But AJ just been knocking it out of the park. That's all the time we got this week. Appreciate everything. God bless. Hey, let's get ready for some real football, high school football Friday night.
Yes, sir. Chopping wood now.
Chopping wood.